All right, everybody, man, I'm so excited that I got a guy on my channel today. And let me tell you something, he is world known for what he does. How about this? It wasn't him, but his company was featured on CNN the other day. I look up and I said, oh man, I had talked to him about a week or two prior to that. I just happened to have CNN on, and there they were for the good work that they do. For the good work that they do, helping some people understand how to dive in oceans and look for stuff at the bottom of the sea. I like swimming, but I've never done that, my friend. So I'm excited to have him on my channel. He got one up on me. You know, I'm Anthony Brogdon. I'm just a guy trying to put this together. And you know what happens is so often, you know how Black people do. I ain't gonna lie to you, my friends. We be like, man, we don't do this, we don't do that, we don't do that, we don't preserve our history. No, man, don't quit saying that. Quit saying what we don't do, because we doing it here in Strong Inspiration. So give us credit. How about that? I got a few things before I have him come on. I got to let y'all know I'm moving and I'm grooving on my festival. That's right. I'm having what I call Freedom Quindaro Festival in Quindaro, Kansas. I got people there who are helping me pull this off. I want 1,000 of you to meet me in Quindaro, Memorial Day weekend 2022, May 27th through the 29th. Quindaro, the historical significance is this. Back in slavery days, people were enslaved in Missouri. They could be free in Kansas. There's a river that separated, and it still is, that separated them. When the river froze, them enslaved brothers and sisters saw her out and ran across that river and ended up in Quindaro. And then they told them racist people, don't come over here thinking you're gonna send us back. It ain't going down. I interviewed a guy, look at it on my channel, whose great grandfather did that. And then my man was so tight that he opened up a business and got some serious money. You can't hold us back. So we going to Quindaro. I want you to come. I'm putting it all together. How much it's going to cost? It'll be very nominal. We're going to party outside in the dust and all that. I'm trying to find the barn. That Friday night, Saturday, we're going to do a tour. Sunday, we're going to tour on Saturday and hit the museums. And then we're going to do, let's call it this, a Black picnic. And I'm going to have the people in Quindaro cook the food for us. Watch out. How about this? I got a lot of good people that are coming on the channel, just like my man here. I've gone global. I've done Australia. I've done South Africa. I've done Ireland. I've done Nova Scotia. I've done London. I got another guy coming on London talking about Jamaica Black history. I got people all over America. I even did one with a guy out of Boise, Idaho. He said, hey man, it's a good time for Black people. Don't sleep on Boise, Idaho. And the weather ain't bad. How about this? I really want you to watch my movie. I'm a filmmaker, my friends. It's called Business in the Black, The Rise of Black Business in America. Slaves who went to college, slaves who owned businesses, slaves who bought their freedom. All that's in my movie. And what them racists did to destroy what we accomplished is all in my movie. Check me out. Watch this. It's on Amazon. And I want you to read my book. And my orders was up. I had quite a few orders last night. I know I'm excited. And I autograph every one of them. And the price is very reasonable because I'd rather you have it than me have it. So it ain't a money thing on your part, I'm sure. Over 200 facts. Did you know slaves could sue for their freedom? No, you don't know that. I didn't know it. I got all that in my book and more. Madam C.J. Walker worked for a Black lady before she started her own thing. And there were other Black women that came before her in various other industries that were very wealthy. Let's lift them up. I do in my book, my friends. The book and the movie, just go to my website, businessintheblack.net. My man, he waiting. I got one more thing for you, my friends. I'm sharing this too, just among us. I'm shooting a movie that I wrote the script to, and I'll be doing it in the next couple months. So look for my movie. If the theaters are open, it'll be across the country. It's called Foot Soldiers. It's about a 16-year-old kid growing up without his father, and a mentor steps in. Watch for that. I'm shooting it. I'm humping. I got a lot of things going because I enjoy it. I just put it all on the wall and then be crossing them off. Now you hear me use that word strong a lot. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace, right? That's my introduction for my guest today. He's a strong man. Come on, brother, introduce yourself. Let's get it on. Thank you for being on my channel.
Well, thank you for having me, Anthony. I really appreciate it. For those who don't know me, my name is Ken Stewart. I'm a native New Yorker, but right now I reside in Nashville, Tennessee. Been here many, many years. So that's me.
Okay, but then hold on. I got a couple more questions. You grew up in New York?
I did.
So New York helped shape you, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. I claim New York. I don't, but I've been in Nashville 40 years, so it ain't like, but I claim New York. I grew up there. I grew up in the public housing and all good stuff. Yeah. But
as a New Yorker, that something gave you a sense of, I want to do something that I can help somebody else out.
No, that would be a lie. Growing up in New York, I was just dealing with growing up, right? And I had an opportunity to move to Nashville. I worked for IBM, and I had an opportunity to transfer here to Nashville, Tennessee. I'd never been south in my life, except when I was in the service. So it was kind of a new experience. But what New York did shape me in terms of my adventurism. I love to do things, right? But
yes,
New York, you got to really it takes time to do anything, right? You got to either get on the subway or this takes time. But here in Tennessee, Nashville, I am 10 minutes from a lake, right? So and so. But bottom line is, when I moved here, my son was 7, I think, or 8, so whatever. But it allowed me to do all the things that I couldn't do in New York. My outdoor, I love the outdoors. So I was able to go fishing, hiking, not skiing. I was going to say skiing, but not skiing.
Sure.
And all those things, right? And then I was able to watch my children grow up, right, and turn into productive citizens. So that's kind of, what happened to me.
Let me ask you this. Did you see some Black history in New York? No, and I tell people that all the time. See, so and I heard some things that you said, and if you give me an opportunity, I'll talk about it in a few minutes. But history was not taught in any of the schools in New York. The only person I ever learned about was George Washington Carver. That was the only person. Yeah, he's one of them big ones that they talk about.
That's all they talk about, right? And then, my parents, I didn't learn it in home. we didn't learn any history at home, none whatsoever, right? And that is a big problem in our community, is that our history is not taught. A lot of young people can't even go past their grandma.
Yeah,
right? It's not passed down verbally, right? So we are in a big void, right? And we can't count on people to teach our history.
Right.
Critical race theory is not going to get taught in the schools in this country.
Right.
Right. Now they might go to a few of them, right? But across the board, folks don't want it told. So it's up to who for us to tell it.
That's right. I live with that. How about this? But did you had to see hang out a little bit on 125th Street and see the Apollo and that kind of vibe though?
Absolutely. I grew up, I was just thinking about it the other day. I loved Harlem, man. Right? I'm a Vietnam vet and I loved Harlem. Harlem was a fantastic place to go to. Man, you could walk up and down the street and look in every window, every shop window. I used to like go window shopping, man.
Yeah.
After the riots of '66, all of that changed. Right? All the shop owners started putting them gates up. You could, so the whole, the crack, well, I wasn't there for the crack epidemic, but the heroin and the cocaine epidemic was just on the rise. Right. And I left Nashville just before the crack epidemic, which is like 79.
Really? Oh, okay.
Right? And so that war on drugs became a war on Black people.
Yes.
Right. Because the only ones who were suffering was us. Right. Now that you got this opioid thing, right, where more of them are suffering, now it's a big epidemic. But that
sure.
Black epidemic almost destroyed us, man. It was horrible. I didn't witness it here that much in Nashville, but I do know in the big cities it did. Right.
So you leave New York and then you go into the service.
No. I went in the service and I was still in New York when I got drafted in '66. I got drafted June 6, 1966, and got out May 20 something, right? And Martin Luther King had just been assassinated the month before, right? So
wow.
Yeah, so and then I was blessed by getting an opportunity to work for IBM, right? And to me it was a blessing, right? Because I wasn't, I didn't have a college degree, I didn't have anything, but IBM afforded me a great opportunity to take care of my family.
Yeah, I'm
right?
sure.
And
so now how did you get into, and this is the intro to what you do now. How did you get into diving?
So again, as I was telling you, my adventurous spirit came out when I came in Nashville.
Right.
And I used to do everything, right? Like I said, fishing and camping and hiking and all that. So, but I was an avid racquetball player, right? Even back in New York, I played handball, I played paddleball, and I carried over here. So I'm playing racquetball at Tennessee State University. That's an HBCU, which is down the street from me. I live in Tennessee, 2 blocks from Fisk University, which is an HBCU, and maybe a mile and a half from TSU.
Right.
So Tennessee State. So the racquetball courts at Tennessee State University overlook the pool. So in between games, I go to the window and I look down, and there's somebody coming out of that water with a tank on his back.
Okay.
And I look closely. I said, "Oh, that's my partner." So I run downstairs, and his name is Ron Wooding, and Ron is in Denver now. So I said, "Ron, what you doing, man?" He said, "Man, I'm learning how to scuba dive." I said, "Get out of here." So when Ron comes out the water, right behind him comes his son, Lou Ron Jr. And he said, "Yeah, me and Lou Ron learn how to dive. We want to get back in tune." Lou Ron's about a year older than my son. And then right behind him comes a Black instructor. And that did it for me. I said, "Man, can I get into this next class?" He said, "Yeah." So I called my son. I said,
"And you knew how to swim though at this point, right?"
Oh yeah. We all knew how to swim. Yeah, you gotta know how to swim. Right. I'm not a great swimmer, but I knew how to swim.
Yeah, got you.
So I called my oldest son. I said, "Kenny, you want to learn how to scuba dive?" Because again, he was 16. I'm losing him to the girls. I thought this was something we could do together.
Yeah.
Right? He said, "Yeah, Dad." And so we got certified. It took us a little time, but we got certified. I fell in love with it. He didn't.
Now hold on. Right? When you say you got certified to do what?
I'm sorry, to be a scuba diver.
To be a scuba diver. Okay.
Yeah, it's a process that you go through. It's usually, at that time, it took me almost 3 months to get certified, but now you can almost do it in 2 weekends, which
Okay.
that's we won't get into that. But it's all they teach you. It's called confined water, right? And they teach you all the skills that you need to actually save yourself, right, during the week, right, during the week's course, right? And what they teach you is what happens if your mask comes off, how do you get it back on? What happens the regulator that you breathe out of? What if somebody kicks it out of your mouth? How do you get it back in your mouth? So those are the basic skills that they teach you. And
I
you
got
do
you.
that in what we call confined water in the pool, right? And then you actually have to do those same skills. And there's about 30 skills. So those are just not those two. And then you have to go to what we call to an open body of water, which could be a quarry, the ocean. Okay, so in 1989, I learned how to dive with my oldest son, right? I just fell in love with it, man. And at that time, I didn't know there was any black divers other than me and then the four of us, right? But come to find out, maybe 2 years later, but I found out that there is a national organization called the National Association of Black Scuba Divers.
Yeah, sure.
Right, which is, I heard you say earlier, that, we always get that, you scuba dive, black people don't do that. Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
I
we
got a
do.
buddy who does it. He do it with the sharks.
Yes, yeah. So, there are thousands of us, man. NABS has a membership.
Let me ask you this question. When you were in your early training, were you just scuba diving in a swimming pool, or did you actually have to go to the lake in that training process?
Well, as I said, the confined water portion is you learn all your skills in a pool.
Right.
Right? Whatever they teach you, whatever instructor teaches you. So you have different certification agencies, but I got certified as a PADI diver. So it's usually a week or 2 weeks in the pool, learning all these different skills. And then, as I said, you have to go to what we call an open body of water, which could be the ocean or a quarry, right? And you perform them same skills. And if you do that successfully, they give you a little card that says you are an open water diver.
I got you.
Okay,
Let me ask you this. One of the things that I would suspect you got to learn is the different depths of the water and how far you down you can go, right?
That's all part of that teaching, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they teach you. I can't even, it would take me too long to go into all of the. Right, but I would suggest if any of your viewers want to become a diver, there's all kind of ways you can do it, depending on what town you live in. Most towns have a dive shop.
Yeah, sure.
And I would say go to the dive shop and find out what it takes, right? Or go to the National Association of Black Scuba Divers website, right? And you may be able to find an instructor in your area on that NAB website.
Let me ask you this. So now, are you you a part of, founder of? Tell us about diving with the name of your organization.
Okay, so I got involved with NABS and an organization I truly love, right? So in 2003, I was the regional rep for the National Association of Black Scuba Divers.
Oh, you really into it?
Oh yeah. And so that means I had all the southern states, right? So I got an email from a young lady. Her name was Karuna Eberell, who was producing a documentary called the Guerrero Project. Okay, so if your viewers can see.
Yes, I see it.
The name of this is called the Guerrero Project. I got a call from the producer of it. Her name was Karuna Eberell, and she wanted to interview some black divers to be in this documentary.
I got you.
Okay, so of course I had access to the Southern Regional Black Divers, right? And so I emailed them and I said, listen, can anybody go down to the Florida Keys and interview for this documentary? And so I don't know, 10 people said they could go. I could not go for some reason. I can't remember, but I couldn't go.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So the Guerrero Project is based on a book called Slave Ship Guerrero by Gail
Okay.
Swanson. All right. If you don't know, and probably a lot of people don't know, the Guerrero was a slave ship that sunk in the Florida Keys in 1827. So there's a
Okay.
long saga. I'm not going to go into the saga, but there were 561 Africans on board. 41 of them died that night, right? And so Gail Swanson spent years researching the Guerrero,
Okay.
years, all right? We know everything about that ship except where it is, right? So I got a call, like I said, I got a call from
Okay, hold on.
Guerrero.
I do want to hear this because you got my interest. Give me 2 tidbits. Where did the ship come from and where was it headed? How about that?
So the Guerrero, this is 1827.
Right.
If you view in 1807, slavery was supposedly abolished. It was
That's
abolished
right. That's right.
across the world, except here in the United States, right? But the British were very keen on stopping the slave trade. So what they did was dispatch ships all around the Caribbean to intercept any slave ships. So one night in December, the British um, vessel called the Nimble
Okay.
spotted the Guerrero, right? So the Guerrero had just dropped off some Africans in Cuba, right? And the Nimble spotted the Guerrero. So they chased all night, right? And they the Guerrero wound up wrecking in the Florida Keys. The Nimble also wrecked, but the Nimble was able to back itself off the reef, right, and save itself. But the Guerrero sunk in what we think is Biscayne National Park.
Okay. How about this? Because I like this and I haven't talked to anybody in this regard. Maybe give us just a tad bit of what you know of relative to the slave ships, how they sailed, how they, figured out the route to take. They might have started in Africa. They might have hit 3 or 4 countries or nations before they got to America, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, well, it's called the African Diaspora,
Right.
And diaspora. I'm assuming I don't want to. Diaspora means moving a large group of people from one area to another against their will.
I got you.
And that's what
Okay.
happened in Africa.
I got
So
you. I know that. Okay.
every European country, almost every European country was involved in the slave trade. There's
Right.
not one that could, right? Starting from Portugal to I think Portugal was probably one of the first ones.
Yeah, they were vicious.
Yeah, it was the Dutch,
Yes.
the English, the
Yes.
French, all of them. Right?
Yes.
And all of them had different countries that they went to get the Africans, right? And so they captured them, right? They weren't slaves then.
Right.
They're called captured Africans. And then when they came to this country, either this country or South America had more captured Africans enslaved than any country, right? So whatever country had claimed an area, that's where they brought their captive Africans home, and then they enslaved them, right? So that is a whole new, and we as Black people, we don't know about that piece, even though we had great history prior to the diaspora, right? So that's where a lot of our history started, even though we were kings and queens back in the motherland.
That's right.
Most of it, or our ancestors, came from the African diaspora, right? If we had good DNA checks, you could probably, trace your ancestors all the way back to some of one of them slave ships. We think there's an estimate that it was 12 million captive Africans that came to the Americas, right, on 10,000 ships. And that's a conservative estimate.
On 10,000 ships. So like you say that Guerrero, do you know where it started off at in Africa?
and it's in this book. But I would be telling you a lie if I can. I can't
Okay, how
remember.
about this? So it left Africa, and then it went to, you said Jamaica.
No, Cuba.
Cuba. And the British was saying, hey, we tired of, we don't want no more importation of slaves. So they tried to stop it and make the ship turn back around.
Well, they tried to capture it actually, right?
Okay.
But the Guerrero was a fast ship, right? Because it was a slaver, right? And you know, slavers were fast ships, and so
is that right?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Because they, you know, they needed to get away from whoever was chasing them.
They
You
were
know,
slave. What now? These wasn't the kind of ships where the people at the bottom rowing. What made them fast?
Oh no. They were sail ships. You know, they had sails.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah. And you know, and some of the ships are well built. The Dutch built the best ships for enslaved Africans.
Oh, did they?
Oh yeah. And they didn't lose a lot. You know, a lot of the earlier vessels, you know, maybe the captive, they would lose half of the captive Africans, right? You know, throw them overboard. That's where our fear of swimming comes out from, if you did not know.
Yeah.
Or at least it started from. You know, a lot of the Africans couldn't swim, but some of them could, right? But they put the fear of throwing them overboard and them drowning, right, to keep them in line.
I got you.
So over the last 400 years, that's why we don't swim.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I got you. So the Guerrero makes it to the Keys, but then it sinks because it hits a reef.
It hits the reef. Right.
Let me ask you this then. For people who don't know, reefs are some kind of formation under the water. And because some are bigger than others, that they're too big, and that's why you just accidentally hit a big reef, and now you got a hole in the bottom. Is that right?
Kind of, sort of, right?
Okay.
But what happens is you have coral reefs, right? But even if you didn't have coral reefs, the Keys are very shallow. People don't really believe this, right?
Yeah, right.
But they're very, very shallow. So most of the wrecks, right, in the wrecks that we document are in shallow water, right? So the Guerrero sunk in 12 feet of water.
That's
right? It hit the reef. It's 12, yeah. And most of the wrecks that DWP documents are in shallow waters. We cannot document a ship that's very deep. We don't have that capability.
Okay, I'm gonna have to jump here to this. The name of your organization is, and what do you all do, so that people can understand why you're able to tell us this story? Because I don't know if we've said that.
Okay, so like I said, it started with this documentary.
Right? I got you.
And in this documentary, it's a story. It tells about the Guerrero.
Right, I got you.
It also talks about the differences of opinions between archaeologists and salvagers, right? And we don't have enough time to go into all that.
Yeah, I got you there.
There's a difference of opinions.
Okay.
Right. And in this documentary is an archaeologist by the name of Brenda Lazendorf. And Brenda was the park archaeologist at Biscayne National Park.
Okay.
Which is where we think the Guerrero is located.
Okay.
Okay, you with me? So what happens is I eventually just go to meet her, right? Right, because I live in Tennessee. I said, listen, I need to go meet this woman. Right. So I go down to the park and we immediately hit it off. We become friends. She had this infectious personality. Oh, she was just tremendous. So I didn't say anything to her, right? But the last thing she said to me before I left, she said, Ken, you know, I'm a diver. And as a scuba diver, I can't dive alone. And that's true. If any of your viewers want to become divers, you got to go with a buddy. You got to be two of you. So I didn't say anything to her. I came back home, sent out the same email to the guys who came down, who participated in the documentary. I said, listen, y'all tired of the same old diving? Let's dive with a purpose. And that's how it started.
All right.
Right.
So you have a organization called Diving with a Purpose. And part of what you do is you go and you seek out sunken slave ships.
No, no, that's a misconception.
Okay.
What we do is we can document a ship. We can document any ship that you want, as long as it's two things: that it's not too deep, right? Can't be too deep, right? And we teach the lay scuba divers. We're all lay scuba divers. None of us. I'm not a professional, right? And everybody who's in, and we're almost 400 strong. But everybody who's in here is not a professional. Not everybody, but some of
Yeah,
them
I
are
got you.
professional. You got me. So we teach the lay scuba diver how to document and measure underwater shipwrecks. We teach you all the techniques to do it. It's a 1-week course. It's a 1-week intense course, right? Of how to document a ship, right?
So let me ask you this. So you have been underwater and seen a sunken slave ship?
I have. Now, again, I don't want to mislead your readers, right? First of all, there have not, your listeners, I should say.
Yeah.
There have not been that many slave ships found, right? I want to make this very clear, right? There's only been 6 that's been found and documented. Only 6 out of the thousands that took the voyage. We've only found 6. DWP does not have the revenue to go out and look for a ship.
No,
right?
okay, hold on. Let me get this right. When you say we, you're just talking about your organization. That don't mean that they ain't found some over in the African waters or in the Atlantic Ocean. You're just saying that you have found.
We haven't found any, right? What happens is we assist in documenting a ship. So we'll get a request. So we partner with the Smithsonian and the African Slave Wrecks Project, right? Or the Slave Wrecks Project, right? Those are 2 organizations. They have, we partner with them. They are the lead organization, but we've done a slave ship in Cape Town called the San Jose, right? Which is right off of Clifton Point.
Hold on. When you say we, what did y'all do then?
Okay, so again,
I like this, man. I like this. What did y'all do, man?
San Jose never made it to the Americas. The San Jose is from Mozambique, and it was going around the Horn. It was supposedly going around the Horn. If you know, Cape Town is down. So they were taking that route, but it got to Clifton Point, right? And I think they tried to anchor and they sunk. Very volatile area. So the Ezekiel Museum, the Slave Wrecks Project, and the Smithsonian started looking for it. And I had Dr. Jose Jones, who is the co-founder of the National Association of Black Scuba Divers. He dove it one time. I had the opportunity to dive it, but I didn't, right? And then there's another gentleman in my organization in DWP called Kamal Siddiqui, and he was actually part of the excavation of the San Jose. And if your viewers have been to the African American Museum in Washington, D.C., the San Jose artifacts are there, right? Right, along with I'm in there. My picture's in there, along with DWP.
Oh man, phenomenal!
So that's one ship that has been found. When you
did you see the ship in the water?
The very first one. Well, you don't see. All right, see, that's another fallacy, right? What happens is most of the slavers were wooden. So once they've been down there almost 200 years, right? Or is it eaten? Believe it or not, there are little worms that eat the wood. So you'll go down to a wreck and there's no wood there. There's nothing there. There's no hull in no ship, but the artifacts are there. And an artifact is anything at the bottom. So it could be plates. It could be nails. It could be anything. Gold, right? And those are artifacts. And then what happens is if we're on a wreck, right? We document that ship. And there's a whole procedure that we do to document that wreck as is, in situ. Come in between the salvages and the archaeologists. Archaeologists want to bring it up and sell it. Okay.
I see.
So, all right. So the San Jose is in, like I said, in South Africa, off Clifton Point, near Cape Town.
I see.
The other ship that is the very first one is called the Henrietta Marie, found by Mel Fisher in 1982, that was ever documented, right? And and I dove it twice. So the Henrietta Marie was coming from, we think, Jamaica, ran to a storm and sunk. Now the difference between the Henrietta Marie and the San Jose, Henry Marie didn't have any enslaved Africans on it, didn't have any Africans on it, period, right? But it was found, and it had a wealth of artifacts. It had shackles, cannons, you name it, they had it. In fact, all of the, I just saw the artifacts again, all the artifacts are in South Florida at the Mel Fisher Museum. So the Henrietta Marie was the very first one.
Let me ask you this question. So when the people in museums do is when they have a depiction of what a look like on a slave ship, how might they have that?
Well, most of it, the British, the Dutch, I can't say for the Portuguese, they kept very good records.
Oh, really?
Oh
I
yeah,
got
that's
you.
why we know everything about the Guerrero, right? And they, especially the British. The British were known for great documentation. So we had these visualizations or these drawings of the ships, right? But if you go to a slave ship with me, or if you go to the site of the Henrietta Marie or where we think the Guerrero is, there is no ship there.
Right.
So if you're envisioning like the Titanic, forget about it.
Right.
Right. And it's just, and what we do is you document the ship in situ, and then you do research, right? You try to identify the artifacts, you try to figure out the time period, and so on, so on, so on.
I got you.
Unless you have a smoking gun, right? Now, a smoking gun could be like in the case of the Henrietta Marie, the smoking gun was, they found the bell, and the bell said Henrietta Marie on it, right? So, hey, right? So
I
again,
got you.
the British kept good records.
The clothes
So
that they
one more
might
thing,
have wore,
what was
all
that?
that washes away, disintegrates.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's
Oh
really
yeah,
just the
right. The
metals
only
that
thing
you
that
are able to
probably,
see.
so the artifact, the metals, bones don't disintegrate. So if we
I
found some
see.
bones, we could probably test that, right?
Let me ask you this
And
question.
precious metal.
Let me when you were down there and you were diving and you saw some artifacts, did something come over to you to make you cry?
Well, let me tell you. So the Henrietta Marie was the very first slave ship that I had ever seen, right? And that probably along with thousands of it. In the 90s, General Motors paid for a touring exhibition of the Henrietta Marie. It toured this entire country, right, with an exhibition, and the exhibition was called "A Slave Ship Speaks," right? And it had all of the artifacts from the Henrietta Marie. And the ones that got to me the most, and everybody will tell you that, was the slave shackles and the ones that were small for children, right? When you see that, right, and the exhibit depicted all that. They depicted the
Yeah.
hull, and they showed you how the Africans laid in the hull, and then next to that is the shackles, right, and how they shackled each African to each other, all right, and then you saw the children, and if you have a vivid imagination, which I do, that brought tears to my eyes because I can envision my children being enslaved.
I got you. I got you.
Right.
Let me ask you this question. When we talk about the slave ships, were there how many people would you imagine, let's say, and you can pick any one of them ships that you know of, how many people were on the ship? How many people were with the captain, with the crew?
And
Uh, that kind of thing.
none of the captive Africans wasn't with no crew. right? They were all, most of them were in the hull, shackled to each other.
Yeah, but the captain had to have people help him though, right?
Well, he had his crew, but they
Yeah, I'm
weren't
saying, how
black.
many crew did he have usually?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
But they weren't captured Africans. All the Africans were in the hull
Yeah,
of
in
the
the
ship,
hole.
and they didn't care, right? So if they lost a few, they didn't care, right? And they were either, and when you see the shackles, that means they were shackled together, right? And the children, right, in this hull, right? And usually the voyage was 2 months, right? And depending on the route they took, right? If they came around the Horn, it probably took longer than that. But they would stop, if they came around the Horn, they would stop in Barbados, right? And because Barbados is the furthest island in the Caribbean, right? But if they came from the eastern portion of it or the western portion of it, they would come to the Americas, South America, so on and so on.
That's devastating. Tell us a little bit more. I mean, what else does your organization, do? Any
Well,
other, y'all training young people to be divers, so on and so forth. How can people find out about you and join you and support your cause?
Well, a couple of things. DWP is a nonprofit. We are not funded by anybody, so we're always looking for people to help out donation wise. You can go to www.divingwithapurpose.org. But the
Okay,
thing
gonna
that
blast
I
that.
do and I love is I teach young people how to dive. All right, I don't know if you can see my hat.
Yeah,
Right?
I can see it.
So I am the co-founder of a local organization here called the Tennessee Aquatic Project and Development Group, and and we use aquatics as a way of attracting young people, right? And eventually they become scuba divers. And the young people in TAP have participated in we call it YDWP, called Youth Diving with a Purpose. So Youth Diving with a Purpose is in its 9th year, where it's the same program as the adults, but it's for young people ages 16 to
I got
20.
you.
All right.
I
So,
got you.
and we teach the same, the same, it's the same exact archaeology course, right? And so the kids get a sense of history, right? And we're hoping that maybe they wanted to become archaeologists. But every young person who has taken Youth Diving with a Purpose are in the sciences, right? Either the marine biologists or marine conservation, except two, and two of them are teachers. So from that standpoint, we have been extremely successful, right?
Love
But
it.
the other program that we have, and what's big in the news now, is climate change, right? We are YWP and DWP is very much involved with the climate change piece, right? Now, again, we talked about coral reefs. A lot of people don't know coral reefs make up 1% of the ocean. 1%.
Okay.
They supply 75% of the world's oxygen. Right?
Really?
That's right. The air that you breathe comes from the coral reefs. 75% of it, I should say. So as climate change evolves, now again, I'm not going to debate folks about the reasons for climate change. That's all debatable. I know what I believe, but I
Yeah.
can tell you this for a fact that the
Yes.
oceans are getting warmer. I can tell you that for a fact. Now, why? Believe what you want. So
Yeah.
what we do is we do a conservation piece where we actually teach, again, the lay scuba diver, and we
Yeah.
partner with two organizations. We actually um, plant coral in the coral reefs, right? What happens is, because the oceans are warming, the corals are dying. They only can withstand a certain temperature, right?
Oh,
The
really?
temperature of the ocean stays above, and actually it's 83 degrees. If it
Okay.
stays above 83 degrees for any length of time, the corals will die.
Okay.
Right now, if the temperature goes back down, sometimes the corals do rejuvenate themselves. So
Okay.
there's a partnership that DWP has aligned himself with. It's called the Coral Restoration Project, right? Which actually, grows coral and then outplants them to different marine sanctuaries, right? So with very exciting solution. It is not the solution, but it's part of the solution. And the other program that we just came up with, we have a gentleman named Kramer Wimbley, who you probably saw on CNN the other day.
Right.
Kramer is the lead on this program called DWP Cares, and YWP Cares. CARE stands for Collective Approach to Restoring Our Ecosystem. And what we're doing here was we're actually teaching lay scuba divers how to monitor coral reefs, right? And we enter this in a database, right? And to help scientists understand what's happening with our corals.
I got you.
Two programs, the CARES program, right? And the coral restoration program. Now the coral restoration program, we partner with an organization called the Coral Restoration Foundation. And
I got you. Well, hey, man, I love what you're doing, brother. Everybody, when I heard about him somehow, and I said, shoot, man, I'd love to have this guy on the channel. And he back and forth. And my man is so tight that to get to him, you got to fill out a form. you got to go through some paperwork. And then your people got to call his people, and on and on and on. He that tight. Follow divingwithapurpose.org. Check him out. Send some money. Go see him. Do y'all have a dance or something like that where y'all dress up and people come down? Anything of that note as a gala?
No. What we do though is we've had some events. And if your readers don't know, we just dedicated a memorial to the Tuskegee Airmen. I think I told you that up in Fort Huron.
Yeah, you sure did. That's right.
Yeah, and that was an exciting event, man, because we were able to bring we were able to bring two living Tuskegee Airmen to this memorial. If your readers want to, or your listeners, I should say, want to know more about us, to our website, yes. www.divingwithapurpose.org, and yes. It talks about the things that we do. So we're not a social organization. No stretch. We're not social. We are business. Yeah.
Yeah, but, y'all about business. Everybody, man, I'm so excited. This brother came on the channel today on Strong Inspirations. I'm telling you, I'm doing all I can to find people with interesting stories, and then I let them tell it. I do try to come up with some questions, and my man knocked it out the box. He blew me away. And so what you need to do, my friends, you viewers, subscribe to the channel. It's free. We don't even ask no information. Like this video, if you don't like no other, like this video, hit the notification bell when the videos come up. I'm doing 5, 6 of them a week, and tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. I want to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I got 4 months to do it, 3 months, something like that. That's just everybody saying, hit the button, hitting the button, hitting the button. I appreciate that. And so to you, my friend, I say this, man, with all sincerity, I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. This has become your calling, my friend. You lucked up on something big because you got that makeup. You that kind of person, and you are adventuresome, and you said, hey, what they doing over there in the park and in the pool, I want to do it too. And look at where you are now. I'm excited for you. I'm gonna come somewhere and meet you. I want to shake hands.
Well, you can do
We're
that.
Gonna do this.
One of the things I like to tell your listeners, don't let someone keep you from doing what you think you would like to do.
There you go, everybody.
Don't let people tell you that Black people don't scuba dive. Don't let people tell you that Black people don't ski. We do all of those and more.
All of them. That's right. And good at it.
And good at it.
And good at it. And he educating the next generation to be good at it, and they're going to be better than him. So on and so forth.
That's the most important thing.
That's the most important thing. I thank you for being on the channel, everybody. With that, I'll say bye-bye. We out.
All right, man. Later.
Yep.